Recently, work on Site-37 has ramped up with many more models being made, gameplay elements added, and a rework of the story. To accomplish this, most of the previous assets and work have been thrown out, with a new direction and feel to the game. Previously, it was planned that the player would be an agent at Site-37, tasked with collecting and obtaining SCP objects. The catch was that the agent would also be an SCP object with the ability to reset time upon death. This, however, limited us in that any SCP that was already contained would not be available for a mission, and also provided difficulty in explaining the agent's anomaly. Instead, I decided to take a game on a different direction and put the player in the role of a researcher at Site-37. In this role, the player will be going through the SCP files and playing through missions in the form of eyewitness reports, recordings, and reenactments. The good thing about this is that we can include any SCP object that we want, contained or not. This also lets us make each mission self-contained and make the game multi-genre. For example, one mission could play like a survival horror game while you are completely helpless. Another, you could be an agent trying to contain a threat, and yet another could just even be more lighthearted and not really action or horror related at all. With this direction, it would also be easier to get something released to you guys when a few missions were complete, and easier to update in the future and add more missions. Since this is the first developer video update since the project's change of direction and restart, there isn't a lot to compare for updates. However, there's been a decent amount of work in the game the last couple of months. Keep in mind that just about everything is made from scratch, including models, textures, blueprints, code, and more. Most of the research room has been finished, though work is still being done on some models, textures, and lighting. Some models will likely get a rework here or there, but the feel of the room should remain consistent from here on out. The computer at the desk contains the SCP-OS, which the player will use to browse SCP objects and start missions. The in-game idea is that each mission you play will actually be the researcher doing something on the SCP-OS, such as watching archive footage or walking through a simulation. In reality, the player will be put into a mission and will play through that footage or simulation. So while the player is the researcher, they also control the main focus of the reports. The SCP-OS is also linked with the holographic projector in the room. The projector will be used to display a hologram of an SCP object that can be displayed from the SCP-OS or from the console in front of the projector. The plan is to allow the console to have much more control, rotating and possibly scaling the projection. It too will contain a list of the SCP objects in the game at the time. Head bobbing has been added to the game to give a more immersive feel of control. It has been added to both the research room and the urban exploration mission currently in development, which will feature SCP-106. Depending on if the player is running or walking, the head bob will increase or decrease in intensity. Head bobbing will be a toggleable setting for those that get motion sickness or prefer not to have head bobbing in their game. A spring arm has been added to the flashlight for the player to give a more realistic feel of how someone would move with a flashlight. Instead of the light being attached to the player's chest, it now has a lag, which will move to the player's view slightly behind the player's head movement. The beginnings of the object interaction have been added with the ability to pick up and drag objects. There is some fine-tuning to be done, along with making heavier objects harder to move around. By default, the player's main object, such as a flashlight, uses the same key as object interaction, which is left mouse. As such, the flashlight in this case is deactivated when an object is in the player's center of view, so that they can interact with the objects without turning on and off their flashlight. This will be more important in missions where the player may have a weapon. An indication rectile will be added when an object can be interacted with, so that the player will be aware that they are looking at something that they can drag, pull, or pick up. A rough floor plan of the school portion of the urban exploration mission has been completed, and the blockout phase should be next in line. Some assets have already been created, and some rooms have already been made with those assets prior to the blockout phase in order to get a feel of aesthetics for the level. More focus has been shifted to blocking out the rest of the level. More models and textures are being added at nearly a daily basis, and as I improve with Blender and Substance Painter, I'm able to produce more models and hopefully at a higher quality. With most of the modeling finished for the research room, focus has shifted to working on models for the urban exploration mission. Currently, a lot of classroom assets have been finished along with bathroom assets. The next focus will be the administration office and the school gym. Debris and other miscellaneous models are also being worked on, though are at a lower priority as they will provide the finishing touches to the environment. This concludes what I wish to show at this time for the development of Site37. I plan to do more of these videos in the future, when I believe there is something worth showing, though I also do not want to show too much as I wish to keep some things a surprise from when the game is released. As such, there won't be a definite timetable when these are released, so just stay tuned to Site-37.com for updates.